We are underway. So what I'm going to do is just put up my PowerPoint. And that'll give us a start. And for this part, if you want to turn your camera off for a moment, that's totally fine. But you can't actually see me, so that's not going to be very helpful. So let me just put the spotlight on. There we go. That'll be helpful. And I'll try this again. Okay. We're somewhat off and running. Okay. And hold on. It was giving me one extra screen in there. All right, let's start. So I'm Michelle Greenwell, and I'm here to help you with a new program called Balancing Business. This is for entrepreneurs desiring a positive, energetic connection to their business dreams. And I'm so grateful that you're here to hear the program, but also to provide some of your feedback, some insights that you have from tonight. And as I do with all my presentations, they are all set up to provide you with a balance so that by the end of the evening, I hope you feel a little bit different than you do at the start. So for those that have the opportunity, as Natalie's in her car driving, if you have the opportunity to stand up, what I'd like you to do is just take some notices of where you are before we begin tonight, of what your body is telling you as we get going. So I'm just going to step back and I'm just going to invite you to stand on your feet. Notice what it feels like to stand on your feet, where the pressure might be in your foot. Noticing where your weight could be, forward into the toes, back into the heels, maybe to the ball of the foot. Notice where your breath is at. You have a nice deep breath, belly's moving. It's more in the center of the chest. Maybe it's in the top of the chest. Maybe you have the shoulders are kind of rising and falling. And then noticing what your posture is. Do you feel a little bit forward? Do you feel you're straight? Maybe you're noticing a little bit in your lower back. Maybe I'm sitting a lot, so maybe in the backs of the knees, maybe across your ankles. Just what do you notice? And then the last part is your thoughts. So as you were approaching the activities for tonight, what kind of thoughts were you having? Were there thoughts that had kind of been with you all day or just kind of random all over the place? You feel like right now where we are, we're at the end of the day. So if you feel like what you wanted to accomplish happened today, or it didn't quite happen, some things got derailed, just kind of noticing and then what those thoughts in your mind might be. And if they're the same thoughts you have every night at the end of the day, just take a little notice of that. All right. I'm just going to move this forward. So our goal for our time together, and what I've done is I've put different things up on the slides. So yes, you can read them, but it's mostly to try to jog some ideas for you. And as you may go back through the recording for some of the pieces you want to capture again, this is a way for you to notice what were the pieces at that time. So my goal for you throughout this presentation is to create awareness and creative ideas to move your business from an object of reaction or discovery to a cultivated masterpiece. That sounds like a big thing to fill, but that's where I'm taking you. I want to take you to the place where your business is really about how you want it to be. So to get started, I'm going to do some cross crawls. So for Dolphin Light, who is in a restaurant, I don't know how you want to do this exactly. This will be the only one like this, but I'll leave that up to you. And what I'm going to invite you to do, I'm going to turn the screen off to do this, and then you can see a bigger picture of me. What I'm going to do is invite you, for those of you that know cross crawls, you know what I'm going to do. What I want you to do is take an opposite hand to the knee, and so we're all black tonight. That's not going to be helpful. So I'm going opposite hand to knee, just across. Notice what it was like to do that. If you had to think a little bit, if it feels easy, feels a little bit tough, then we're going to go behind. and touch your hand to your foot behind. Notice what that feels like and if it was easy to get there. And then we're going to go sideways. So I'm going to lift the opposite leg to my arm and see if you can do that one and what it feels like as you do it. So 1, we're looking at effort. 2, we're looking at how quickly you were able to coordinate. And 3, if there were any other noticings that you had at that same time. All right, perfect. So I'm just bringing Natasha into the room. I'll just let her get set up and started here. Okay. And while she's doing that, I'm going to bring my screen back up. Okay, Dolphin, you said you did them in the aisle. Perfect. Okay, people be looking at you, but that's okay. All right. So Natasha, we just did, what are we aware about our posture? How is it feeling? Feet, the breath, posture pieces. And then we just did the cross crawls just to see how our body was coordinating, front to back, side to side, up and down. And was it easy to do? Did it have some effort in it? Could you think about it, or did you have to you could just go easily with no challenge? So just to find that awareness. And so now what I'm going to do is bring up this piece of the PowerPoint again, and I'm going to invite you to the second part. So the first part was our goal for our time together. And the second part is your reason for being here. So what have you already sensed about your business that has not been resonating? Why is it you would want to be balancing your business? And then what action or inaction have you been taking in this regard to honor that intuition about where you really want to go? So what I'm going to invite you to do right now is you're thinking about why you came to hear my presentation, and there's lots of reasons. I'm just going to invite you to take some water. And Dolphin, if you don't mind just muting yourself there. I'm going to get you to sip that water. And if you didn't have water beside you, then I want you to imagine that you took in some water. And I'm going to invite you also then to go between the xiphoid process, which is the bottom of the sternum, and your belly button. You're going to go midway between. And you're just going to start rubbing a little point in there. And that point helps you to process water. It helps to get it up to the brain so that your thoughts will be able to quickly come in clarity. Right. Now you know your reason for being here and what kinds of things you can do to help you have wellness in balance with your business. Now I would invite you to think about what your dream business would look like. Are you living that dream business at the moment? Is it in a transition? Is it in a place where it's been for a while? You'd like to move it into a different place? You're totally happy with where your business is at, and you just want to look at what your health is in relation to everything that you do every day and how you use that health in your business. So I'm just going to let you kind of capture that. You may have a description that comes to mind. You may get a picture. You might have some awareness with your senses, so you know what it looks like, your business. When you picture it, maybe you have a storefront, so you really know what that looks like. Hearing the clients that are there, hearing the people that are a part of your business. What do you smell? What do you taste? What can you touch? What do you get a sense of? Okay. So, moving forward from there, I wrote this on the screen not because you need to read what my background is, but because I would like you to introduce yourselves. And so I'm just giving you a way to outline how we want to know a little bit about you. I am celebrating 40 years as a dance educator, 35 years. My company, Dance Debut Inc., has been in business, and it's had many transitions over the years. I have been an educator since I think I was 7 years old. Everything I did with the kids in the neighborhood always had to do with me educating them in some way. and we were forever reading books, and I was marking papers. I live in Mabu, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and that's in Unamadi. I'm on the ancestral lands of the Maliseet people and the Mi'kmaq people. I live with my husband here, David, who's on the call tonight, and we've been together for longer than 35 years. We've been married for 35. I have 2 beautiful children and a daughter-in-law and a lovely grandson, Landon, who brings me great joy. Over the years, I have faced several health challenges, and my business has suffered because of my health, but my health has also suffered because of my business. And for those of you who've known me for a while, you may remember back to when I was in my dance studio and I lost the ability to walk from the stress of running the business, and I was ignoring the stress. And I also lost my voice, and the opportunity to teach in front of people became with a microphone, and I sat on a chair. It was a really, really tough time. And I did have an idea prior to that episode happening that I wasn't quite feeling well, but I actually didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to deal with it either. And in those days, mental health, it wasn't as accessible as it is now, and also alternative care or complementary care wasn't available either, so I didn't know the route that I wanted to take. But I'll take you back a little bit further, because my career in dance started when I was 7, and I did Highland dancing, and I was trained on a cement floor. It means I was jumping up and down on a very hard surface, and that did definitely change the structure of my bones, changed the way that my alignment was. And by the time I was 16, when I went to the doctors about my knees and the pain I was having, they said, give up dancing. That's the only way that it will work. And I said, that's not going to happen. So I just decided I'll just work through the pain, and that's the way it is, which led me to the rest of my story, which is work through the pain and eventually you'll just figure it out. Not a very good storyline to have. I don't know if you have that same storyline, but you know the no pain, no gain that came through with the fitness industry. And you have, the things where your expectations are there for you to always be at your best. So you put that best face forward and you do what you have to do. If we fast forward through the last couple of years, just before the pandemic, my body was telling me it was time for me to retire from teaching dance. It was tired of the postures that I was using to try to teach the kids, because my body was tired of those postures and they weren't working for me. And through the pandemic, I was able to adjust my business and then start to think about how could I help people with the knowledge that I have about the body, about how we move and how we can be efficient and how movement can really heal us. And through the pandemic, I was able to reframe the way I looked at things, but also use my skills that came out of being a dance educator, choreographer, and a director. So now I want to know a little bit about those people who are here tonight, just so we can get a feel for some of the things that you might be doing. So I had put on the screen, a couple of things about me. So my name, where I'm from, and a little bit about something to do with your business, what kind of business you're in, and anything else you might want to tell me. All right, here comes Helga. She's coming in at just the right time. Okay, so we have enough people. We could go to a breakout room, but I know some people are still in transitions. So I think we'll just call it forward. And if everybody just wants to take a minute-ish to just introduce themselves and give us that little bit of intro, that would be wonderful.
Did you get rid of the toaster oven and toaster?
Yeah. Hello, Helga.
Hi, Michelle. Sorry, I just came in. I'm a little bit late. My apology.
It's no problem at all. We're just to introductions. So I'll get a couple of people to do their intros first, and then that'll give you a chance to know where we just got to. And we just did some awareness pieces before we started. Okay, so David turned his camera on. I know that Cheryl can't turn her camera on. So why don't we take our eyes over to the chat box, because I know that's where Cheryl will do all of her sharing from. you want to introduce yourself, Cheryl? I can do the intro for her. Thank you. See if I missed something. So Cheryl is a colleague of mine that lives in Cochrane, Alberta. She lives just down the road from where I used to live. She's trained in many different modalities and works with lots of different kinds of situations for health issues. And Cheryl, you're just going to have to tell us anything about business that you'd like to share. We'll let her type. All right. So while she's doing that, how about if, Dolphin, would you like to introduce yourself? And Dolphin is in a restaurant at the moment. Okay, Cheryl's doing a run. Okay, Dolphin is in a restaurant. She is part of the superpower business that we've been working on for the last couple of months. And we spent a fair bit of time together at joint venture conferencing this last weekend. And she works with physiotherapy and in the water as well as caregivers. And I see that she just got bounced out. So moving from there, David, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, I'm David. I live in Mabu in Cape Breton with our wonderful host. My business is M3D Design Works. I've been an independent architectural consultant since 2003, home based, and yeah, that's that in a nutshell, I guess.
That's beautiful. Thank you. There were some messages coming in the side here. Okay, so now we've got Natasha. Do you want to just introduce yourself? Oh, you're muted. Can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, also from Cape Breton, partnering up with Michelle in quite a few endeavors already, and happy to be here. Being able to actually realize what I have been doing the last 3 months at least to my business and my business to me. I'm here. Let's say it like that.
Awesome, and thank you. Okay, Helga.
Yeah, my name is Helga. I am here from the Vancouver area in British Columbia, now living on an island way out in the Pacific. So, my profession is reflexology and touch for health, which I have been teaching and working with. But the last 3 months, I didn't do anything because of circumstances. And I just last night came back from Europe, and I just made it now. I'm so happy.
Wow. Thank you for doing that. I'm sure you're adjusting to the time, although I know you know the energy tools for that. And
Right.
we will use those tonight. So, oh, that's great. Yeah. We're coming to visit you on that island one day. We'll come from this island on this end of the country.
Right.
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay. And I think that's all that wants to introduce themselves. So I am going to move forward from there and take us into the greatest wealth that we have in our business. I'm just going to bring up my PowerPoint again, take us forward. So the greatest wealth is our health. And when we think about how we deal with our day, how we deal with the stressors that come in in and out of our days, in and out of our nights sometimes too, they can create burdens on us. They can create successes for us. They can be a part of how we thrive, but they can also be the reason that we really struggle. And so it's important to think about how what we're feeling like can influence the decisions we make, the way that we interact with other people, the way that we create collaborations with others, and then out of that, what is the result that we have in business. From the other perspective, in our business, we have many responsibilities that come to us. We might be part of a team. We might have a boss that's above us that dictates what kind of work we are doing. We might have people that we work with that we get along with really easily, other ones that can be challenging. All of that leads to how we feel throughout the day, and that can fluctuate. But it can also fluctuate and exchange our emotions, our posture, our mental capacities and thoughts, and then that lovely one, what we do with nutrition. When we eat well, when we don't eat well. And that can be due to stress, but that can be due to choices and sometimes just habits. So our greatest wealth is our health, and how we look at it in the whole overall picture, where we spend our day in business, can lead us to some interesting discoveries. So what if I could show you how to engage energetically with your business with immediate changes and transformations? Is that something that you would want to explore and be able to tap into right away? So if you want to write in the chat box, if that's something that appeals for you. Again, I can't see the chat box at the moment, so I'm going to be looking for that afterwards. Okay. Here's our agenda for tonight. Our goal is to explore you and your business in the next hour and roughly 20 minutes. It took us a little bit to get started tonight. We were a little bit late, so maybe an hour and 10 minutes. And as we go through all of the activities we're doing tonight, I want you to think about what that means for you in your health and well-being and the choices you make daily, and also the reflection you have towards your business as a result of some of the things that I will share. This is all leading up to my new program called Balancing Business. So it is about sharing some of the ideas that will be coming through that program and giving you a taste of what's possible. So now what I'm going to invite you to do is a little exercise where you're going to rise up on your toes. So, all right, I see one thumb up in the chat box. Everybody's so chatty. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to rise up onto our toes. I don't have my toes showing on the screen, but I am going to rise up on my toes and then come back down. And what I invite you to do is to do the same. So rise up on your toes, see what it feels like, come back down. What's fascinating is when I tried this earlier this afternoon, my right ankle was really, really sore, and that is completely gone now. So the group that we have gathered here at the moment obviously has some balance going on because that feels really, really nice, which is great. Okay, let's now take the head and turn it to the side and see what it feels like. And just notice your range of motion, how far you can see on one side, how far on the other, and what you notice about that. Okay, let's come back to the group and just let me know if it was easy for you to rise up on the toes or not. And if you'll just write that into the chat box for me, so I just know what's happening for everyone. So it was easy to go up, not so easy to go up. It was easy for you too, Helga. Interesting. I love it. There's some mornings I can hardly get up, and coming back down is really painful. So easy today. Okay. Wobbly, and the ankles are rolling outward. Okay, thank you, Natasha. Anybody else? Okay. So that is an indication of whether or not, when we're thinking about our health, our wellness, and our business, we have any angst around that puts us into a fight or flight kind of situation. That's what we were checking with the ankles. So now let's check in. And for some of us, it was easy. So we're not in that fight or flight. If we were in fight or flight, it means then some of the decisions we make is from a scarcity kind of situation rather than from an abundance position. And it's good to know that some of us, that's in flow for us right now. That might not always be the case, but it's nice to be able to check. So the second part is range of motion. Do you want to just tell me if it was okay to turn your head from side to side? Noticed any cracking going on in the back, tension in the neck, one side was easier than the other, anything like that, if you want to write that into the chat box. Painful to both sides. Okay, good. Not good that it's painful to both sides, but thank you for the response. Tight at the end, but still almost a 360 vision. Okay, great. Thank you, Natasha. Okay, Kaylee's noticing she was the same as Natasha. Great. Anything for you, David? I didn't see Cheryl writing anything in there yet. Okay, so from there, what I would like you to do is we're going to rock back and forth on the feet. So this one, I will drop my camera down. Okay, so you can just see into my feet here. And what I'm going to invite you to do is just roll up to the toe and then down flat. And then you're going to roll back and then up and roll back. You get to see my slippers. Just because we had a lot of snow today, it's a little bit chilly on our floors. Okay, so we're just bringing that back and forth in. And then I'm going to invite you to do one more, which is roll around the clock. So into the toes, to the side of the foot, and around. Rolling through. Okay. And then the second part that I'm going to invite you to do, many of you who are on this call know this already, we're going to do the ears. So you can rub same hand as ear, or you can go across to the opposite side. You can go behind if you like. I'm just going to go across. You're just going to unroll the ear, the edges, coming down to the bottom. And then we're going to go up, rub again, take that to the bottom. And then the last one, finger pull all the way to the bottom. Okay, so now let's go the other side. So we're going to unroll the bottom, a little bit deeper in. You might notice your ears starting to heat up. Okay, Helga, you can set your clock from your European time zone to the West Coast time zone. That's a big jump. Okay, so now you may notice you feel that alive and the ears warming. So now what I'd like you to do is just turn your head and see if your range of motion or the action has changed in any way. And usually what happens for people is that's an increase in range of motion. I know Natasha had said she could get almost 360 degrees, so she could turn to the back, she could see across. So now it may have changed a little bit. And what people often will notice that they wouldn't have noticed the first round is it was an isolated movement the first time, but now there's an engagement that goes, especially if you're sitting, from the hips all the way through the spine, and there's a full turn that happens, so all the tissue is engaged to make that rotation happen. So now you have more of the body involved in the package, and that tells you that the vagus nerve, which goes up and inserts in behind here and connects into the brain, and it tells the brain, how all of the systems in the body are functioning, that little piece has been calmed down. So that is allowing all of the systems to calm and come into flow, communicate with each other, and all of them are linked up to the vagus nerve. Okay, so lower neck still tense, but the upper feels free. Okay, Helga had no change. All right, and I can't remember, Helga, what you had put from the beginning. Coming back. Painful to both sides and no change. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I had pain in the beginning and there is no change, and I did the exercise. So maybe it has to do with my jet lag and I have to do it more often.
Well, let's see what happens by the end, because we're going to go back. So we'll see if that's adjusted or if there's something else in there. So that might be a different workshop. But thank you for keeping me updated about what you're noticing. And definitely by the time we get to the end and the other pieces we add in. Okay. And Michaeli's saying no change there, but I think you were saying it was fairly free to turn already. So that might be okay. All right. Those two pieces, the vagus nerve, trying to keep things calm, and the reflexes on the feet, being able to get out of fight or flight. Those two pieces can be really helpful for when you're in situations in the day where some stress might come creeping in, and you'd be able to calm it back down with those simple tools. So it's just one way that you can interact and go forward from there. Okay, so let's go from there and we'll keep on track with it. Okay, and we'll see what happens as we work through the rest here. All right. So if I move from that little one to, whoops, I jumped forward by one. Just hold on. Jump forward by two. Okay, I talked about our agenda. What I need for you to do here is now cross. This is Cook's hookups for those on the call that know it already. So I'm going to invite you to cross your right foot over your right ankle over your left ankle. And then your hands, you can cross the hands over, just turn them to face each other, link the fingers. And just hang out there while I give you the next little part. And this Cook's hookup gets us started into a figure 8 pattern. This is a lovely little exercise to do when you're on a Zoom call, you're listening to someone in a meeting, you're sitting at a desk, and your hands might be, they might be on the desk, but you can easily put them into your lap. This is a great way to just re-energize, but also to calm a situation down. Okay, I'm just going to move forward with this one. Some of the things you may notice at work are things like as we had happen here this morning, we have a snowstorm going on today. And so the day completely started differently than we thought. And so the two of us ended up going to our desks to respond to the fact there was a snowstorm, and I had to do cancellations today. So there's these things that happen with your business that kind of overrides what's going on. So instead of going down for breakfast, making a cup of tea, I ended up at my computer, quickly engaged in things, and off I was running into the business. And that happens a lot when you're an entrepreneur. I'm sure all of you can agree. The other things that happen that can be challenging leads us to the stress of the day. We can have decision fatigue. We've made a lot of decisions. We've made some good ones. We might have made some bad ones, or just the fact that we had to make too many, and then we just can't make any more decisions. It gets hard to be clear about things. You might have mental exhaustion, and you might have emotional stretch. And that means just that you might have started well at the beginning of the day, positive, ready to go, everything's okay. And then about middle of the afternoon, some of the projects didn't happen, and you're starting to feel like you're just feeling pulled in too many directions. And I call that the emotional stretch. We can have disconnection from projects, constant interruptions, phones, emails, text messages, Messenger, Facebook, all these lovely things that give us communication but also keep us from getting our work done. There also are challenges that might be driving, sitting, standing, screen exposure for long periods of time. And what happens in this position is you end up locking yourself in one position for a long period of time. That is a challenge for the brain to function because it requires movement from the body to feed it information. And the second part is you'll have muscles that are going to be holding in certain positions for a long time. They may be in contraction, or they may be in a stretched position, which means they shut off, or they're overcharged. That can lead you to all kinds of other challenges just because of that tight positioning that's holding on. We have unnecessary snacking that can happen, or not eating appropriately. I'm sure all of us can have some story about chocolate, cookies, going for a glass of water, coming back with a pop, maybe picking up more at the grocery store than you needed. And then just that you don't know what you want to do, you're trying to decide, so you go to the kitchen or you go to your lunch bag and you pull out a snack right away. And it's not that you even needed it, it's just it helps you to think. So those are some of the things that can happen that when you're challenged, you may notice how you react. The last one is dehydration and shallow breathing. When we're sitting at our desk or engaged in some focused thought, our breath can actually become much more tight at the top, and we can forget to drink water. If we start our day without water, it can be mid-afternoon before we might even have a glass. And that dehydration means the brain is not going to be functioning, as well as the organ systems, and it can mean that we can have challenges in many different facets of our lives. Okay. So from there, what insights do I have that I could share? I'm going to get you to now take your feet, put your feet side by side, put your fingertips together and bring them in front of the belly button, and just hang out there for a moment. The insights that I have come from my many years in business. So as I talked about at the beginning, I've just celebrated 40 years as a dance educator. I also have spent the last 9 years working on a master's degree and a PhD, really looking at the tools that come from my training in touch for health and therapeutic touch, as well as neuroreflex integration. The tools from there that are energetic tools that allow us to bring a transformation into the day that doesn't have effort. And I've enjoyed working on those pieces through the pandemic. Not that I enjoyed the pandemic. However, I had time to focus and really find out which tools worked in different ways, but also the benefits I had to get me through the pandemic and to be able to deal with isolation and a business that's closed down and a new way that I'm going to have to look at the way that I am doing business. So that pandemic was a tool of discovery for me. And from there, I also had the opportunity to take what I had done in longevity, which was understanding movement, understanding people, understanding watching people and how they behave and do things. And then what that has meant for people to come together into groups or cooperative activities, collaborations, and also then reinventing the business. It's evolving all the time, and we need to be there with it to be ready to evolve. Okay, so we've got Hooks Hookup Part 1 and Part 2 that we just finished. This is a great way, the start of the day, to do some goal setting, to calm the system down, and again at the end of the day, to finish off your day, if it's in the office, or before you go to bed. It's a great way to calm down so the whole system can let go and relax, so you have a chance to fall asleep easily and hopefully not wake with all those monkey thoughts. So now I invite you to think about what your aha moment is. As you're listening to me talk about all these pieces and about the way that the day can unfold for you, with the way that you work, the way that your business operates, what are you thinking about now that may be a repetitive thought that's been there for a while, that you know about yourself and you know about your business? And it might be working for you, but it might not be working for you. What I want to know is, what is it that's going to motivate you to desire to make a change? And as I'm sharing some of these tips with you, to realize those changes might not need to be big ones. They might be really small, simple ones, but very simple and very powerful. Okay, we have a couple of activities that we've been told about. So if some of you know that 22 rule, so 20 minutes at the computer, 2 minutes taking a break, walking around, doing something where you're moving, coming back to the computer. Now, I'm not sure that we could say that all of us do that diligently. You'd have to have the timer set, I think. And I know for myself, if I want to get into a project, I could be deep into the project, really focused. I'm not going to stop to step up and move around every 20 minutes. And I'm guessing that's probably the same for you. And if that's the case, then how are you dealing with that lack of movement and supporting the brain? What kinds of activities can you put in so that you can get into a project, really get going with it, and have movement that's there for you and you can just activate with? Now, we all know when we get a headache, it would be lovely if we could just go home, put our head on the pillow, and go to sleep. But that's not possible when you're an entrepreneur or a team is relying on you. So very often we work through the headache. And I shared with you my story about how I got kind of set up at the beginning for, it's going to be pain. I know it's going to be pain, so I'm just going to work through it. I'm just going to keep going because that's what you do in order to do the things you love. And so I want you to think about if you do those same kinds of things. If you have a headache, do you work through the headache? You go to take that aspirin, you might get a cold compress, and then you just carry on with what you're doing. What do you do to stop and really think about, why do I have a headache? Is the headache required at this moment, or is it a signal for me that I need to make a change? And how can I make that change? Okay, so let's put into the chat a couple of ideas. So I'm just going to show you this little piece, then you can get ready to type if you're busy doing things. So when do you notice your drop in creativity, motivation, or workflow? And then what strategies do you have when you notice that happening? I'm going to stop the share here, and I'm just going to let you put into the chat. So when do you notice your drop in creativity? Let's start there. So maybe you start at creativity at the start of the day and you know you're good till about noon, then you have to move to other things. Natasha is when it's too late. Okay, yep. All right, Helga's saying stop working, going for a walk. Mid-afternoon. Perfect. I think right before lunch. That's a good one to know too. Thank you, Michaela. I know for David and I, lots of times if we can get started early in the morning, then that's ahead of the emails, because a lot of our work comes from the West's different time zones. So we can have quiet time for a couple of hours and then the emails start to pick up. And then that's when creativity might drop as we're trying to deal with some of the messages that are coming in. Okay. And how about motivation? When do you notice that your motivation to work drops off? Yeah, emails are a huge distraction. Thank you for that, David. It's like the never-ending inbox. So Michaela, after lunch, in the afternoon. The phone is a distraction as well. Thank you, Natasha. Okay, so our motivation has some kind of a shift that happens midday. And it could probably depend on what you're working on and also different kinds of stressors that might be going on. Okay, so we're noticing that we're good for like the better part of the morning, and then there's this mid part that starts to show up as we go into the day. So now how about workflow? You've got workflow happening. When do you notice you're most challenged to stay on the tasks and keep that flow happening?
So when I work, the best is when I don't eat during the day. Then I'm focused, I'm very alert and clear in my head. As soon as I start filling my stomach, it really drops. All my energy is dropping, and I cannot work so good anymore. I really have to focus then, and it's hard.
Okay, thank you. That's a really good observation. And so if you operate that way, at what point are you able to put food into the body then?
I put food into the body in the evening when I'm finished. And then I have often only one meal a day. And it's good for me. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I drink a lot of water during the day, hot water or tea,
Yeah.
and no food.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And do you still find the same thing, that workflow, distraction, or creativity kind of midday tends to be a
Yeah,
challenge?
in the afternoon, I like to have a little rest in the early afternoon, but often it's not possible, or it hasn't been possible. So I work then through. I am a morning person. I love to work in the morning, and after 6 o'clock in the evening, I'm done. I don't want to work anymore. Nothing.
Yeah.
I just want to relax.
Yeah. And when you go to relax, what is it that you do? Do you have energy to do other activities, or is it like flat out kind of on the couch?
I like to sit on the couch. I like to read. I like to, watch TV, or, reading or watching TV. I don't like to cook anymore then. But I have a good husband. He likes to cook.
Perfect. Perfect. And that's a really important observation too, because when you get to the end of the day, if you're out of energy, then the last thing you want to do is cook. And it is that you do revert over to those activities that are really low physical output. How's that? I'll put it that way. Definitely mental and emotional too. So yeah. Okay. Thank you, Helga.
You're
And
welcome.
Natasha has put in here, best workflow is at night when there's no distractions from the outside, no noisy neighbors, the pets are asleep. Yeah, I understand that as the cats lie on your computer. Okay, excellent. So we can see where we get to places where we go to this depletion point. And what I want to invite you to think about is that doesn't have to be what happens. We have a way to build energy, store energy, and of course, we would all love to finish our workday and be able to dive into a lovely personal life that allows us to be energized and actively participating in things that we'd like to be doing that's just for us. And so I'm inviting you to think about, is the way you have everything set up working the best way that you want? And do you have the best results at the end of your workday or the start of your personal day, whichever way you want to do that, depending on your work schedule? Thank you for sharing in the chat. I appreciate that. Okay, let's go to the rhythm of your living. And I'm just going to bring up this next piece here. Okay, so the rhythm of your living is reflective of the flow of your business. So what I'd like you to do now is just taking a pen to paper. If you want to think about your current insights into your well-being. Is your wellness the way you want it to be? Are you doing all that you would like to have the health and vitality that you'd like to be living with? And if it's a yes, great. Then what are some areas you'd like to adjust? But if it's not, how long has that pattern of dis-ease or not, or pain or tiredness been around? Just so you can try to put a number to it. And then you might want to reflect on ways that you've been successful with your well-being, ways that might be, I'll put failure in there, ways that you definitely haven't done it the way you'd like it to be. And then the second part is, let's look at the business. So do you push through to get a job done? And do you have a wellness plan for being in business? So as you're reflecting on that, I want you to think about if 2023 is going to be the year that you look at it a little bit differently and you start to make changes. When we glow from the inside, we create a whole different image for others to engage with. So if you start to think about, you kind of get to mid part of the afternoon, you're getting tired, or as Michaela had identified, that just before lunch, hungry, need a little bit more protein, the brain needs to be reactivated. If we don't do that, let's say we've been breathing really shallow through most of the morning, concentrating on something. That is the lung meridian. That is part of the metal element. And the three emotions that are linked up to that element are grief, guilt, and regret. So when we start to breathe kind of shallow, we're sitting, working on whatever it is we're working, we're putting stress into that area. And pretty soon our filter starts to change. So we start looking at it through a different lens. And that's where we might have some regret thoughts that pop in. I wish I'd done it this way. If I'd only got this project done yesterday instead of today, it sure would have been nice if my partners had provided me with all the things I needed to get this job done. Those kinds of thoughts start to pop into your head. And they might not be the ones that you would start with first thing in the morning, but now you're midday or halfway into the afternoon and you're getting tired. And this lens has shifted and these thoughts start to come in. And pretty soon it makes you really inefficient because the way the functioning is not happening. So one way we could make a change to that so that I can offer you a quick change, we could change our breathing. Now you could change your breathing by just thinking about it, but I'm going to invite you to a Tai Chi way or Qigong, which is just tap from the shoulder to the palm. And you're tapping all the way down with firm pressure, and then the other side. And this opens up the hairs in the lung to capture more oxygen, and it can shift the way you breathe. If you take a breath now, notice how that feels. Having been a former asthmatic with allergies, I used to breathe and run out of lung. I was trying to take the air in, and now it just really expands and contracts really beautifully. So I feel like when I breathe in, it's matching the capacity of my lungs. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that. When we have that breath coming in and we're nourishing everything, we're moving from enthusiasm, moving to enthusiasm and letting go. And letting go is really important, working on projects, details, getting tasks done, or things aren't working the way you want. And instead of starting to clench, you actually can relax and go, it's okay, I'll do that tomorrow. You can think about how to solve. All right. So the other way that you can also change things is if you take those ears again and just pull them up. And if you pull up, you'll notice your posture is going to adjust. And what we end up doing is finding where straight is. And so if you start to notice your posture is coming down, you're working at the computer, you're tight in on a project or something, to be able to pull the posture up and reset it can be just a reminder that you had changed things and you can let it go. So what have we discovered so far? Posture. What is your normal posture? Are you holding it through the day to support your work? Or does your posture start to show up in different ways as the different stressors come in? What happens with the flow, happens with the energy. I've talked about emotions and how when you get locked into something or something changes like your breath, your lens starts to change. Different emotions start to pop up. Your ability to reason and find solutions can actually be hindered. And that leads us to our monkey thoughts, because then we have these repetitive thoughts. And for some of us, that's, I'm not good enough. I'll never get this done. I don't have the skills for this. Those kinds of thoughts all pop in. And that's all just telling us what the stressors have in our body. Okay, I'm going to invite you now to try something a little bit different. We have 4 portals there, and I would like you to see how each one feels. So if you'll stand up on your feet, and this is just noticing with the body sway. I think almost everybody on this call today knows what that is, but I'm going to describe it in case someone's listening that doesn't know. So you're standing on your feet, and you are feeling what it feels like to be on your feet. What I'm going to invite you to be aware of is when you kind of feel yourself being pulled down into your feet and everything softens. That's the portal that's giving you the most support. If you kind of roll around on your feet, that is putting you a little bit off balance. So that means you're not quite getting the energy or the flow that you need, if that's what's happening for your body. So let's try this. So if you think about portal 1, notice what happens to your body. Mine is pushing backwards. Okay, just notice what happens to the body. It's really pushing backwards. Okay, then go to portal number 2. See what that one feels like. Portal number 3. For me, that's got a little bit of a sway on it. And then portal number 4. I feel like I was like an inchworm being sucked down. Okay, so I don't know what you experienced, but let's walk it through a little bit and see what happens. So portal 1 was, I don't invest in myself and my business. So that's what was reflecting. So for me, it was instantly pushing me away. So what happens if I don't invest in myself and my business? I'm really off balance. That was for me. I don't know what you experienced. The second one, if I do a small workshop, start to change a couple habits. That's what that portal was about. That one pushed me forward. And it was like a push too. Then I got to portal number 3. I invest in change and commit 100% to accelerate my well-being. So that one for me was a little bit of a sway that went side to side. So that still wasn't quite resonating for me. And then there's portal 4. I understand the cues of my body and the challenges of my business, and I respond before the crisis. So what might have happened for you? That one for me was like a suck down into the ground, and it was like my whole back opened up. Okay, in this one, number 4, portal number 4, intuition could be guiding well-being and business success. And in the Balancing Your Business program, I'm leading you up to where that intuition becomes very strong. So you are ahead of the crisis. You are ahead of those things that could derail you. And you're being able to be much more involved in the current position of the business or well-being that you're looking for, rather than waiting as a reaction. Okay. Balance is a feeling derived from being whole and complete, and it's a sense of harmony. So what I'll invite you to do now is cross your hands over. This is a sea of tranquility. If you put your fingertips, they're going to kind of be along the collarbone. It's on the alarm points for lung. So we're back at metal element. And just hanging out here, the promise that I have for you with the program I've put together is balancing business is a unique approach to break free from a linear aspect of operating a business to creating a multi-dimensional experience for you as an entrepreneur. It might be with staff, could be with colleagues, could be with clients and customers. But the piece about this is it's not going to be a linear approach. It's actually going to be a multidimensional approach. We're going to work with energetic connecting, developing steps that lead you through a process that is easily to reproduce all day long. And that little process allows you to continually transform and be engaged with what you're doing for your well-being choices, but also for your business. It's a 6-week beta program being it's being launched for the first time. And it has the opportunity for you to do hands-on experiential learning all the way through as you walk through parts of your business, but also parts of what you do for your well-being. With this, I hope to inspire you that the transformation is going to lead you on a course for ease and flow so that you have more success in your business. You can have the monetary gains you're looking for, the project completions you're looking for, and the well-being and energy and vitality at the end of the day that says, hey, I want to jump into my personal life. I want to be actively involved in it. So we all have choices, and I'm hoping that the promise I have here from this new program is something that will allow you to choose to go forward in a completely different way. I do have a guarantee. It's 100% complete satisfaction. So if at the end of the conclusion of working through the worksheets, working through the program, you saw no changes, you didn't have any tools that were valuable, then I am happy to refund your money back. My offer when this program goes out in its full capacity, it's going to be $9.97 US, and it will have all of the components together at that time. As we go forward today, though, we're going to be looking at a different opportunity for you. So what I'd invite you to do now is take one hand, put it on your elbow, the other hand, take it, just put it on the side of your ribs and just hang out there. Just kind of like crossing your arms, but we're actually going to be just allowing the body to soften and find some balance and flow. And I put questions in here because I wanted to just check in to see if there was anything what I've shared so far that you have questions about in any of the processes.
I have a question, Michelle.
Yeah.
The portal of what we did, this exercise, I don't remember what it means when the body turned to the side, slightly to the side. I know forward and I know backwards.
Well, in this case, it was not in a yes-no response, but just in moving around. And then when you found that you were in complete flow with something, you were just pulled down to the center of your feet. So it's a different way of doing it than a yes-no body sway.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter if you like kind of wavered around a little bit, you went forward or backward. It didn't have any value to it. The value was you weren't steady on your feet and then you were pulled into your feet.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you experience? Which portal kind of pulled
Portal
you in?
is the first one. I didn't move at all. I was really stable. So I will do this that I like more. The second one, I moved forward. The third one, I moved backward. And the last one, I moved to the side. And that is why I asked. Yeah.
Okay. So the one that pulled you in was the very first portal. Don't do anything.
No. The first one, I don't invest in myself. I didn't move at all. I was so stable, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, isn't that interesting? Because then you go, okay, so if I'm not moving and I'm completely imbalanced with not doing anything for myself, what does that mean? That's almost and this is why it's a beta project, because that's a really interesting observation. And then you think, okay, so if I'm not going to do anything, how is that working? Do I have something working in reverse? Is there well, from our jargon that we would use in Touch for Health. Is it a psychological reversal? Interesting. It would be great to explore that more. So
But
thank you.
it's true. I didn't work since the fall, right? I didn't do anything, but now I have a goal for 2023 and I'm working already on it in my brain. I need to put it into practice. When I'm back on the island, I'm still here in Vancouver. When I'm back on the island, I will start. And it's a lot of work and I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Okay, very cool. Okay, anybody else have any observations? All's quiet. Okay, I am going to go forward. Okay. Michaeli says rocking back and forth on the 3rd. Okay, and was there one, Michaeli, that you kind of locked into where it just pulled you in? Just thinking. The first one you didn't move, second one backwards, and the fourth one forwards. Interesting. Okay, so I can see that this exercise would be one to dive into as part of the beta project and see if we have some patterns or programs that are already in place that are keeping us from putting wellness and business together. That's an interesting observation. So thank you very much for sharing. I so appreciate. Okay, now I know we started a little bit late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move forward into the next piece. No change, 1, 2, and 4, really grounded in number 3. Perfect. Thank you, Natasha. Okay. All right. I'm going to have some fun playing around with that a little bit. Okay. Let's move this. And so the roadmap of what we've just walked down, if you want to take your hands and go to the other side, your other hand's going to go on the elbow, other hand's going to go on the side of the ribs. All right. This is a beautiful way to just really calm the system down. Great support for the spleen, which is where your immune system is. So if you're feeling a little bit run down, this is a great one to add in. So the roadmap that we've kind of walked through today, I'm leading you from where you start with your car. It's had some things to need some tinkering. So knowing what the tension points were when we started today, how you were feeling, where we're going to go. 2, into what awareness have you gained with our time together? Where some areas of tension are, where there aren't some, where there are some plans there that we're not quite sure what we want to do with them. And then we move to number 3, what energetic connections had you made before we talked today? So maybe you were already doing some things, maybe you weren't. And maybe I've got you talking or thinking about some different ideas. And number 4, were you working efficiently and ending the day full of energy and vitality? I know some days are better than others, but overall we're looking at, are you completing the day with the energy and vitality you're looking for? And number 5, are you ready to transform your energetic connection with your well-being and your business? And if you are you ready to step forward and see what kind of transformation you can create? And on this one, my grandson is very much into cars, so I put the race car in there. Where can it take us? All right, so just hanging on to that spleen and triple warmer still. After 6 weeks of balancing your well-being in business, you'll be supported by a collaborative group that's worked together. You'll know each other well and have accountability in the connections you create. You'll have a unique and personalized energy program that will allow you to go forward and to be able to continue and grow with that program. And together, we're going to transform your energetic success for business so that clients can feel connected to you, so that you can feel connected to the activities and projects that you're working on. So our bottom line is balancing business transforms to intuitive business building. And on the end of that, we'll be elaborating on the intuitive aspects of that. So what I invite you to do now is take your fingertips and just put them on the side of the head. Just next to the temple is where underneath my glasses, but just beside there, for those that don't have glasses on. We're going to talk a little bit about intuition. So developing intuition is more than just educated acknowledgments. It takes us from that linear goal setting, do one thing to get to the next, We're going to come out of that. We're going to go into a whole matrix of connections, multidimensional. This allows us to grow and create action in ways we might not have thought about. And it gives us the possibility to expand in ways that we might have avoided, but energetically just weren't connected with. And once we're connected, we can actually move in that direction. And that then leads intuition to lead us into further growth and development. Gives us a lovely way to look at our business. What else we'll be doing to achieve? You now take your fingertips, put them on your cheekbones here, just hang out there for a moment. What we're going to do is create a complete vision. We're going to look at the structure of the body, the posture, the emotions related to any stress that you may have, how that affects posture, as well as the mental aspects. We'll also be looking a little bit at nutrition, not from a what should you eat kind of perspective, but how nutrition plays a role in keeping that balance and flow for you in your day. And then we're going to develop a network of entrepreneurs who can think and play together, and then make that daily check-in happen so that all day long you're energizing, building. When we get to the end of the day, your personal life is your personal life. So now if you take your fingertips and put them at the back, at the base of the skull, and just kind of cradling the back of the head there, we'll just hold that point very lightly. What lies ahead? So I talked about portal 1, 2, 3, and 4, and everybody had different experiences. But what I'm going to invite you to think about is, out of that portal, is there some place in there that there's a fear factor? It keeps you from making a decision into one direction or another direction. Or it might be a fear factor that pulls you in a direction just to keep you safe. And if you think that you've kind of been operating with that fear factor, are you ready to think about coming out of it and how you could go forward? Have the courage to be something different. Okay, so now you're going to take your hands to the back at the top and just hold lightly there. So as you look at what I've covered today, I just want you to think about if there's an area that's been a surprise for you. Some of your responses have been a surprise for me, so I'm excited to dive into that a little bit further to see what that means. And I always know when I'm working in an energetic way, information comes in a way I didn't expect, but the growth out of it is always so interesting. So we have knowing our posture. Do we have the posture that we need to operate effectively and to keep ourselves well? Are we operating with emotions that are constantly in flow and balancing? Was there a surprise today? And then those monkey thoughts. Are those some things that you've been holding on to that have just kind of been staying there? And do you think you would be able to let them go? Or do you think it might be easier to hold on to them? So the last one is take your fingertips, you're just going to put them on the top of your head and hold there. So what would life be like if you decided you're just going to go it alone, carry on doing what you're doing? You can have the glass might be half full, glass might be half empty, depending on how you look at things. And then you could also have the skills of the program that I'm going to introduce that could bring in everyday habits and start to build that well so you have always a flow of energy coming through with it. So now if you take your fingertips, they're just going to go on the front of your forehead. A lot of times what we do is kind of a trial and error thing, or we call it the shiny bright objects. You go off in a direction. That looks like a good idea. That looks like a good idea. that would be great. And you get pulled off to try these different pieces, but they don't all link together necessarily. And we can have a concentrated focus to those pieces, but we don't have a concentrated focus for the overarching goal that we want to have happen. So what I'm presenting to you is going from where we are currently and looking at a future goal, how we can start to bring in, see if I can bring my cursor up, the ideas that pop in, all of the collaborative things that start to accumulate together, but they're all going towards that same future goal, and seeing how we can then expand opportunities and maybe end up in a place we hadn't really anticipated or realized we could have. So what does the current timeline look like for businesses? Most people do a business launch, they plan, some things change, so they rebrand, they have another bit of launching, they plan, they get to today. But you can see how it kind of comes along in those increments. And we might want to change that. So if you take your hands down from being here, just bring them into your lap. You just want to link your fingers and just bring them in. So what I'm offering to you is 100% courageously being devoted to yourself this year. That can mean taking everything and have it in one place. So your new programs, collaborations, guidance, elevated experiences, and that's going to take you through to the goal. And so you have everything working in a multi-dimensional way. So if we are balancing business, what kinds of realizations are you going to have about the capabilities of your business, where you want to go, and how you want to deal with that future goal, where it's going to take you? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is, I know we're coming up here for a couple minutes, so I'm just going to bring you through. You heard about the promise, 6 weeks, intuitive business building. This is a really thorough piece of detail here. I don't have all the modules broken out into a nice book, because it's going to be the people that come together for this beta project who are going to help me to take the ideas that I have and know work for me and my experiences that I've had, but how they're going to work for you and how they're going to be able to mold what you want. And that's what's going to build everything for the final piece. And so together across 6 weeks, you're going to be helping to support and bring in your ideas and help to build a program that is stronger than what I could have imagined for just my mind, because I'm going to have the collaborative efforts of everyone. With it includes a bonus of being able to do my Movement Made Easy class, which we just had Colin McLeod join us, a fiddler from Scotland, and he has just raised the bar with movement and building energy and vitality. That's a way for you to come in and practice some of the tools. And bonus number 2 is a special celebration at the end, where we're going to come together and we're going to take that full package and do some major goal balancing on the end. We have surprises along the way, which I can't announce all of them, because some of them are going to be based on what your interests are. And then I'll be able to pull in and bring those bonuses in. And the last is having a 1-hour reflection time together, one-on-one, so that we have the opportunity to create your personal plan for you to go forward. All of that comes together for this whole program into an investment that doubles its worth. So I had said already what price I was looking at when I launched this program. It's not what I'm offering you today. I brought it down to what if I offered it at 40% off, but I'm not doing that either. I wanted to get it down to something that was of value, that would allow for your input to have greater value, but also for me to be able to say thank you for joining in on this beta project. So I'm offering this Balance Your Business program, $497 US, which is 50% off. And you've got the list there of all the things that come with it. And then I talked about some of the bonuses that go with it as well, which will be added onto that. Beta partners bring in an intuitive growth to the program. We have different categories. We have the awareness. So what kind of new story are we going to tell? And what is it going to look like for others that come next? A level of discovery. Just like those 4 portals, I had an idea where it was going to go, but you've already shown me it's going to be bigger and different and better than what I thought. We have an evaluation, a way to look at the tools. Are they working for you or not working for you? Let's take it in, pull it out, whatever. Your intention to be able to set up your goals, be part of a team with more goals, and that's going to be able to build your program even more. We have the ability to purchase, to understand the value of the program to accelerate your business success, and most importantly, leading you to your financial rewards and your satisfaction with how you help others with all the gifts that you have. And the last is the loyalty, to be fully present to the program and its success. That's what makes me excited about working with Beta Partners. You have a benefit of being in on the ground floor. You're recognized as a Beta Partner. You'll be energetically connected to this program for the long term. So the reiterations of it, the launches of it, you'll energetically be connected to all the successes that go forward. You'll be able to have your needs met with immediate recognition, and you'll be able to continue to come through. If you want to repeat the course, you want to pop in on different modules of it, you'll be able to do that all the way through. You'll have access for free. The receipt of any additional bonuses and enhancements that come over time will also be yours. And this will be a lifetime access to the programs and the upgrades. What does it look like going forward in the next couple of weeks? The Balancing Business Timeline, we have today's launch, introduce some ideas to you. The 17th is our first class. On the 24th, we're going to be exploring what your lens of discovery is. On the 31st, we're going to go into full play and development of some of the activities. On the 7th, we move into a roadmap. Now that you've got all of those ideas, we're going to put you into a roadmap and see how it works for you and what your benefits and repercussions are out of it. We fall on Valentine's Day, so we have no class for a week, so you can have reflection. Then we're going to move into old habits and patterns that have appeared in your personal and business day that you might not have known were there. And hopefully we'll be pulling those to the surface easily. And then at the end, we're going to be building your personal map of discovery. I'll have interviews and evaluations at the end. Again, your 1 hour with me for me to help you build that personal plan going forward. And then we come together for some group activities at the end and our final reflections and a celebration. So if you're ready to make a difference in your life, if you want to send me, I'd say the first 8 to send me. So some people be on recording. There's those people that are on here already. If you say I'm in the subject line of an email to me, then what I will add on to that is a 30-minute session at the beginning to get the ball rolling. If you're watching this recording, I might not have fulfilled those 8 spots, so please feel free to send that email and say I'm in. And this is my personal commitment to make sure you're getting the greatest success for your business. Okay, to finish off, I can't see you where you are, but what I'm going to do is go back to some of the things we did at the beginning so we can start to measure and see what's happened for you. So my goal for you tonight was to create awareness and creative ideas to help you move your business from an object of reaction or discovery to creating a cultivated masterpiece. So let's go back to the cross crawls. And if you want to put opposite hand to knee, see how that feels. Change it to behind. See if the transition was okay for you, and then sideways. All right. And I'm hoping that what you're experiencing is that it was a little bit easier to walk through those actions than it was the first time when you were trying to think about them. And the effort was light. That's what I'm hoping. We also have the opportunity, that's the cross crawls are part of fire element, and they take worry, sorrow, and hate, and they can transform them through the emotions into love, joy, and calm. The second part, your reason for being here. Some of you are here because you're supporting me, and I thank you very much for doing that. And for those of you that were thinking about your business and thinking about how you want to make a change for 2023, I hope that some of the ideas resonated with you, that it's possible to make change, it can be easy, and when you work energetically, you can have it move in different ways than if you use that linear, conscious reasoning approach. And so what I invite you to do is, if you don't have water, you can think about water, but otherwise, sipping on a glass of water, and just, whoop, the coaster stuck to it. And it just reminds you that when you hydrate, you can take fear and anxiety, the body is stuck there, and it moves it over to confidence and peace. And so if you start to notice that fear and anxiety is ramping up in the day, remember to add your water. It can help transform as well. So as we think about what is the dream for your business, I hope I've invited you to think differently for 2023 and think differently about what is possible as you decide to go forward. I know the people that are on this call tonight, they know how to link with me already, but if you're watching this recording, I'm at Linktree, Dance Debut. You can find my website, dancedebut.com. Natasha and I share the tea companies in 10-T and the Cape Breton Tea Company. If you're looking for something to add in the office or in your workday that's related to tea, we might have something there for you. And I wanted to give a shout out to some of the people who've been influential in the last couple of years. I did some amazing collaborations with Tanya Levy, Natasha Polomsky, and Paula Nowak-Drug, and I'm so grateful for the way that I've learned to share tools and also the way that I've been able to build products that people can benefit and use. I've been working with James Lamb of Look Ahead Marketing and Angela O'Brien of Do Life Happy. This last weekend, I worked with Ronnie Tsunami of Rock You Academy. And I'm grateful to Mary Jo Bulbrook of Akamai University for the 9 years of lovely studies and development that got me to this place today. I am president of canbewell.org, and I'm grateful to the members who have been so supportive in keeping the organization moving the healing work forward, and to Denise Cambiotti of Muscle Tuners International, because she's the one that got me on this road of thinking differently about my business. And I use today Slides Carnival. All right. So thank you so much for being here. I hope that I've given you some new ideas. I hope you feel energized before you go to bed or have dinner in Helga's case because she's on a different time zone. If you have any comments, questions, you just want to chat, I'm all ears.
You know, the fun part is I have trouble with my coughs again because I'm sitting too much working on taxes documents, cleaning my office. And I realize that I'm sitting here starting around 11 o'clock and I end up at 6 o'clock when I get hungry. Like Helga, I don't eat lunch. But the interesting part is today I feel like I can go to bed now. While usually I end up going back to the computer now.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Great. Thank you for that. Balance and flow. So simple.
Yes.
I would like to say thank you, Michelle. I'm on the way already to do something new. And with this workshop, or it was just an introduction to a workshop, it stimulated me to do more. And I know I'm on the right track to do it.
Awesome. Well, and I know you've got the tools, right? So I know sometimes we have the tools, but we don't use them, right? Or we use them, but we don't always use them to their utmost. So that's great. Yeah, good. And it's
Thank you so much.
It's lovely to have everyone here that has the expertise in these tools already to know the value of what they are. And so the feedback is very valuable. Yeah.
What I what I would suggest, but that is again thought. That is this is still intuition. To write down what you think about, what you image for the future, and then read it every day. That it's manifesting in the brain, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep.
Mm.
Picture on the fridge or beside the computer.
Exactly.
And it
Or
has to
maybe
be
at the
spoken.
doorway so you'll go look outside more often. What
Yeah.
was that?
It doesn't
Natasha?
just have to be read. It should be spoken aloud, because only when you speak it out aloud you're really committing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good tools.
We have them all.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to turn the recording off here.